the silence in the room is not innocent. It waits, curled in corners like shadowed serpents, ears pressed against plaster and brick. Someone has learned to pierce even the hush, to drink in the delicate tones of your voice, like a thief sipping spilled wine from the edge of a shattered goblet. The betrayal does not begin with fire. It begins with a whisper. Someone, somewhere, leaned in just a bit too close while pretending not to see you. Their eyes skimmed past your soul like they weren't meant to notice, but they memorized you. Syllable by syllable, heartbeat by heartbeat, and sold what they saw to those who move in the dark. Archangel Michael says, the air around you is filled with contracts written in hidden ink. Agreements made with your name stitched into a snare. The stranger they sent doesn't look like an enemy. They wear the scent of trust, maybe even the face of someone once safe. Their movements echo yours, timed perfectly, as if they rehearsed you in a mirror long before the first greeting ever passed between you. There are wires in the wind now. The frequency of your life broadcast to ears that pay in shadows and promises. You feel it when you speak, and the room feels too still, too reverent, like someone is taking notes behind the wall. You feel it when your phone crackles faintly though no one calls. When your dreams end too abruptly, as if intercepted and altered by hands not your own. The moon trembled behind torn clouds. The night the first payment was made. They offered gold and were handed pieces of you, locations, rhythms, habits, fears. You wonder why certain paths suddenly seem crowded. Why people know what you're going to say before the words ever leave your mouth. God says, you are not paranoid. You are perceiving what others want you to doubt. Your sensitivity is a blade forged by the Spirit, and though they tried to dull it with confusion, it has not rusted. You have been marked for divine increase, and this drew the watchers near. Like moths spiraling into flame, the stranger's job is simple: watch, report, interfere. But what they did not prepare for was your resilience wrapped in revelation. You are not who you were when they first received your name. They studied the past version of you, not the one who now carries thunder in their voice and angels at their back. You move differently now because the soil under your feet has shifted, consecrated by trials, broken open by tears that God bottled and returned as oil. But the one they sent still follows, desperate to stay one step ahead of your transformation. They are losing control. Archangel Michael says, they fear what they can no longer predict. They sought to use your pain as a blueprint, but God has rewritten you in fire. You You were not meant to stay broken, and the enemy bet on your defeat. Now your rising terrifies them. There are maps with your name marked in red hanging in unseen rooms. Meetings held with laughter that drips like venom. Their confidence was built on your delay, but the delay is ending. The watchers will soon become the watched. The voice you hear late at night telling you to stay silent, that is not your conscience. It is the echo of their fear. They hoped you'd second, guess the truth long enough for them to strike. But the time for questioning has passed. Your knowing is now your weapon. The strange interference in your life is a signal. The interrupted calls, the sudden shifts in someone's tone, the oddly timed invitations, the odd knowing glint in someone's eye. They're not coincidences, they are tactics. A performance meant to draw you into patterns they can manipulate. God says, even their rehearsed betrayal must serve my purpose. What they planned for harm, I will use to anoint your discernment. You are becoming fluent in falsehood, not to mimic it, but to destroy it on sight. You are being awakened to walk through this fire unburned. You are being stretched so no deception can wrap itself around you again unnoticed. The one they paid has unknowingly been used to teach you what no comfort ever could. Do not explain what you feel. Do not shrink from what you sense. You were not meant to blend. You were born to confront. Even if you stand alone, you are not empty-handed. There are blades of light circling your path, and the battle is already shifting in your favor. They are close now, watching too carefully, mimicking too boldly. But their timing is off, because the you they studied no longer exists. That version died in the last midnight storm, and in its place rose someone ordained to uncover, to unmask, to overturn. The listening walls are beginning to crack. The silence will soon scream. And every secret they gathered will backfire like thunder against their own plans. You started noticing it in the smallest ways. Your words spoken by another before you had the chance to speak them. Your decisions mirrored and used as if they were never yours. A delay in someone's response that felt too calculated, a smile held too long, and a shadow where no shadow should be. Someone has been rehearsing your life in the background, studying your choices like scripture, pretending coincidence when it is carefully orchestrated mimicry. The stranger does not wear a mask made of latex or lies. They wear you, your rhythm, your phrasing, your struggle repackaged and performed as if it were their own. They wear the skin of your former victories and the scent of your silent wars, and they slip into your circles with a charm they bought from watching you bleed in silence. There is a hollow echo in their voice when they speak now. Something off, something borrowed. They speak of pain they never endured, of growth they never earned. Trying to wear your scars like they paid the price for them. But your anointing doesn't transfer through imitation. It burns those who haven't survived the refining. Archangel Michael says, "The one who mimics you is a reflection twisted by greed, not grace." They thought they could recreate your destiny by memorizing your decisions. But destiny does not respond to mimicry. It responds to the divine agony of obedience. To surrender carved into the soul under pressure they never tasted. They are tracing your steps, but not your submission. They copied your motion, but skipped your crucifixion. You were broken in ways no performance can replicate. And the oil on your life was pressed in midnight groanings they never heard. What they possess is an echo, but you are the thunder. There's a divine silence swelling in your bones now, the kind that precedes revelation. You're watching the repetition unfold like a play where the lead actor doesn't realize the script has changed. They're speaking lines you abandoned long ago. They are still quoting the you that died in secret, unaware the resurrection has already happened. God says, this isn't a warning, it's a confirmation. You are being followed because they sensed your shift in the spirit before you fully understood it. They've been assigned to gather fragments of you, to harvest your momentum without your permission. But the version of you they studied has already been eclipsed by the one I formed in fire. The tension you feel when you're near them is not paranoia. It is recognition. Spirit recognizes spirit, and their counterfeit tries to merge into your path because they have no light of their own. They have become a projection of what you've survived, but they lack the weight that truth always carries. Your movements have grown sharper, more precise, more holy, and now each time you shift, they scramble to keep up. Like dancers chasing music they do not understand. You were not meant to compete with a replica. You were meant to expose the flaw in the imitation. The mirror they hold is cracked. It reflects a distorted version of your journey, and they no longer know where their stolen persona ends and your reality begins. Their mimicry has become a prison. They stare into your likeness, hoping it gives them access to your promise. But the door remains locked to all who refuse to crawl through obedience. Archangel Michael says, their mimicry is a sign of their panic. They were promised access if they mirrored you long enough. But no matter how closely they follow, they cannot cross into the holy place marked only for you. They forgot that your favor came with fire, and your calling was carved through pain, not performance. There are moments now where their eyes flicker, not with light, but with envy. They say the right words, but the cadence of heaven does not follow them. They walk in your footsteps, but the soil does not bless them. They attempt to command rooms meant for you, but the wind itself rebels against their voice. You're not imagining it. The delay in your blessings, the spiritual traffic, the sense of being watched but not celebrated. Someone was trying to step into your future with stolen access codes, downloaded from your surrendered prayers. But heaven does not authorize theft, and God has begun to strip their illusion bare. God says, I allowed it so you'd learn to distinguish between imitation and inheritance. You needed to see what happens when fire is faked, when destiny is copied but not earned. You needed to feel the false so that, when the real comes, you never again doubt your authority. They walk in your shadow because they cannot survive in your light. But even shadows cannot follow when the sun shifts direction. You are turning now, rotating, being aligned with something they can't replicate. And as you rise, the copy begins to collapse. You no longer need to prove that you are original. The fruit will speak. The oil will speak. The divine response to your obedience will silence every actor in the wings. There will be a moment when the mimic tries to step into a room you were designed for, and the door will not open. You are not being followed because you're failing. You're being followed because you're becoming. You are not haunted by your past. You are being studied by those who underestimated your future, and the mimic has reached their limit. They rehearsed your fall, but God wrote a plot twist they didn't see coming. They didn't come for you with swords. They came with a smile wrapped in routine, with comfort that smelled like familiarity. It was never a stranger who opened the gate. It was someone who already knew the rhythm of your knock. Someone who had once prayed with you and called your name like it was holy, only to trade your secrets for a coin and a promise. The betrayal wasn't loud. It slid beneath the surface like a snake in still water, cold and patient. They listened with purpose, nodding while you bled, already deciding which wound to monetize first. They sold you in pieces, not all at once, not in ways you could easily trace. A word here, a story there, just enough to build a profile, just enough for the stranger to know your next move before you made it. Your habits became handouts. Your weaknesses, whispers in rooms you'll never enter. Archangel Michael says, the betrayal was not accidental. It was assigned. The one who stood beside you was not merely swayed by envy, they were approached, chosen, paid. The offer came in the form of elevation, access, relevance. All they had to do was translate your private pain into currency. You shared your vision. And they took notes for your enemies. You cried in their presence. And they memorized your breaking points. They repeated your dreams like parables to the wrong ears, twisting your faith into blueprints for sabotage. And now, the stranger walks your map like a thief who believes they've inherited the architect's mind. They thought you'd never notice, thought the ache in your spirit could be dismissed as overthinking. But you have started to hear it. The shift in the wind, the breathlessness in the betrayal. You feel it when they speak to you just a little too carefully, when they praise you with attention hiding behind their eyes. God says, I saw every transaction. I watched them turn your name into a password. I watched the stranger get fed with breadcrumbs made from your trust. But I allowed it, for exposure, not for defeat. You are not undone. You are about to be vindicated. The person you confided in didn't sell you because they needed money. They sold you because they were never able to carry the weight of your rising. They mistook access for equality, proximity for promise. And when your calling began to speak louder than their ego, they chose compensation over covenant. You wonder why your momentum was delayed, why doors opened with resistance, why plans that once felt divinely timed suddenly turned sideways. It was because every time you stepped forward, they were already informing the stranger of what you do next. Your harvest was rerouted through sabotage masquerading as support. But that season is ending. Archangel Michael says, the seal has been broken. The hidden communications are crumbling. The spiritual wiretap is being severed. No longer will your prayers be intercepted. No longer will your joy be diluted through poisoned companionship. The mole has been identified, and judgment has already begun to unroll like thunder beneath their feet. The silence they left behind is loud now. You notice the absence. The space where intimacy once lived now echoes with the aftertaste of betrayal. But do not grieve what you lost. The betrayal revealed what you would have never known had they stayed loyal. They could not carry you into your next season because they were never meant to survive its atmosphere. Your future requires covenant, not competition. Requires loyalty without leashes, love without ledger marks, God says they thought betraying you would make them powerful. But in truth, it marked them. It sealed them under scrutiny from heaven. I have already sent the angelic to intervene, not to harm them, but to remove them, to extract them from the sacred spaces they polluted with falsehood and flattery. The stranger who knows your next move doesn't realize they were led into a trap of divine timing. They think they are ahead, but they are walking a path lined with alarms in the spirit. Every step they take deeper into your ordained territory sends tremors into the heavens. The betrayal has flipped. The trap is resetting. What they took from you is becoming their undoing. What they mirrored is becoming their mirror. They are about to see themselves, not as a strategist, but as a pawn in a game they never understood. The tears you cried in confusion have now transformed into oil. You are about to move with a sharpness that no one can track, a divine unpredictability that confounds every informant. God is releasing you into a space of silent acceleration, and they won't see the shift until you're already gone from their grip. They thought they had time. They thought your delay was weakness. But the delay was consecration, refinement. You were being rewired so that when the next move came, it would be unstoppable, untraceable, unmatched. God says, you are stepping into a territory where betrayal cannot follow, where counterfeit cannot cling, where informants choke on the holiness of the atmosphere. You are going forward not just wiser, but armored, not just aware, but divinely instructed. The betrayal was brutal, but it was the blessing in disguise. It removed the mask. It revealed the hidden allegiance. And now, every dollar paid for your downfall is about to burn under the weight of your rising. They didn't think you'd survive the leak. But what they didn't know is that what leaks from you becomes seed. And what was meant to drown you is now growing into a field of fire they cannot walk through. You feel it before you see it. The world around you seems to hum differently. Colors sharper, silence heavier, time itself bending with a sense of divine watching. This is no longer just betrayal playing out in the natural. The spiritual realm has stirred. You are walking through veils now, and the invisible is no longer hiding. They left fingerprints in the spirit, greasy, glowing marks clinging to everything they touched. You couldn't see them before, but now your discernment has become a holy fire, burning through illusion, setting off alarms every time they draw near. The one who sold you, the stranger who watches, they all carry marks not made by man. The air thickens when you pass by them. The atmosphere shifts because heaven recognizes what they've done. And now it responds with resistance, with warning. You are no longer just walking through your life. You are walking through a war zone, cloaked in light, observed by both angels and adversaries. Archangel Michael says, "You were chosen to see through the mask, to uncover what others missed." The mask was carved carefully, fashioned from laughter, small talk, shared prayers. But it cannot survive your new vision. You are not looking with eyes anymore. You are seeing with the Spirit. They tried to enter your presence as if it were theirs. They tried to sit at your table with defiled hands, reaching for bread soaked in prayers they never prayed. But the Spirit stopped the feast. Heaven closed its gates, and now the ones who betrayed you walk with a subtle stench of exposure, masked in flesh, but marked in spirit. God says, "I allowed the deception so you would learn the shape of the lie. You trusted too quickly, loved too openly, gave too freely, and still I do not rebuke you for your love. I honor it. But now I refine it with fire. You will no longer pour into leaking vessels. You begin to see them differently. The ones who clapped too quickly. The ones who asked too many questions, as if curiosity disguised their craving for access. Their mask is slipping now, twitching under the heat of your gaze. You say nothing, but they shift uncomfortably. The light in you has begun to speak. There are signs in the Spirit now. Colors that don't exist in the natural. Sounds that rumble beneath the threshold of hearing. You walk into a room and feel the residue of intentions. You touch someone's hand and feel the cold trace of a lie. Your discernment has turned into a weapon forged through betrayal. The mask they wear is beautiful, carefully crafted, a face you once loved, a voice you once trusted. But the cracks are widening. The spirit realm is tearing it at the seams. Every time they try to repeat the script they rehearsed, heaven rewrites the lines. Their words fall flat now. Their charm feels thin. They do not know you've changed. They think they're still speaking to the version of you they fooled. But that you is gone. You died in silence. You resurrected with fury. You are no longer touched by flattery or fooled by repetition. You've been baptized in fire. And now you see the mark even through the mask. Archangel Michael says, "There is no mask strong enough to withstand revelation. I am pulling back layers, ripping off disguises. You will not be surrounded by actors. You will not be guided by spies. Every hidden alliance is being dragged into light. There are names written in heaven, and yours is among the unshakable. The marked are panicking now. The masks itch. The demons they made deals with are beginning to turn on them. Angry that the information pipeline has collapsed. You were their source, and now that you've gone silent, they starve. God says your silence is sacred now. Your movement, encrypted. What they knew before no longer applies. Your rhythm has changed. Your gait has shifted. They copied a version of you that has been burned away in glory. You are unraidable to them now, unreachable to their schemes. You see signs in your dreams, faces melting, hands cracking open like clay, masks dropping in slow motion. The spirit realm is showing you what your natural eye missed. Do not dismiss it. Do not second guess it. You are being taught in visions, trained in stillness, armed in silence. You walk through rooms and heaven walks with you. You listen and the angels lean in. Your eyes are oil now, and your presence draws the imposters out like rot surfacing under pressure. They can no longer hide in your shadow. The mask is failing. The mark is glowing. They are afraid of you now, but not because of who you were. They're afraid of who you've become. The revelation of your identity has awakened heaven's justice. You were underestimated, but now you are dangerous. You are not bitter. You are not broken. You are aware. You are marked not for destruction, but for destiny. Not for manipulation, but for miracles. Not for exposure, but for elevation. They can keep the mask, but the spirit world already sees the mark